What, you want me to tell them what happened? Well, two people got cramps and they're spreading. We were all very hyper about it. And I have to go shower some people.
Executive producers President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama.
I wanted to be part of the world, but I didn't see anyone like me in it. I hear about a summer camp for the handicapped run by hippies. Somebody said you probably will smoke dope with the counselors, and I'm like, sign me up.
Disabled campers play guitar and sing.
Come to Camp Jeanette and find yourself.
There I was in Woodstock.
Campers dance and play baseball.
You wouldn't be picked to be on a team back home, but at Jeanette, you had to go up to bat.
Even when we were that young, we helped empower each other. It was allowing us to recognize that the status quo is not what it needed to be.
Sundance Film Fest winner.
The world always wants us dead. We live with that reality.
At the time, so many kids just like me were being sent to institutions. It was just a continual struggle.
Most disabled people, like myself, are unable to use public transportation.
We needed a civil rights law of our own.
A Netflix original documentary.
A rehabilitation program has been vetoed by the president because it was cost prohibitive.
We decided we were going to have a demonstration.
You get the call to action, to the barricades.
Disabled
A
protesters.
small army of the handicapped have occupied this building for the past 11 days.
So many people from Camp Jeanette found their way into the building.
The deaf use sign language.
The FBI cut off the phones. The deaf people went, we know what to do. That's how we communicated to the people outside the building. The Black Panther Party would bring a hot meal. We were like this.
We are the strongest political force in this country.
Addressing congressmen.
We will no longer allow the government to oppress disabled individuals. And I would appreciate it if you would stop shaking your head in agreement when I don't think you understand what we are talking about.
Sit-in participants parade triumphantly.
What we saw at that camp was that our lives could be better.
A child rides his father's wheelchair. Protesters crawl up Capitol steps.
If you don't demand what you believe in for yourself, you're not going to get it.
Crip Camp, a disability revolution.
Do you like to see handicapped people depicted as people?
Excuse me?
In select theaters and on Netflix March 25th. Rated R.
So hi, I'm Diane Billiak. I'm here today with Jim Lebrecht, who is the co-writer, producer, and director of the movie Crip Camp with Nicole Newnham. He also was one of the subjects in the film and is also on the side, besides all of that, has worked as a sound designer and on other documentaries and in theater, and has lives in California and does disability rights advocacy and activism work. And I'm also a white, middle-aged female with graying brown curlyish hair. And I'm currently in Mansfield, Connecticut, in their library where they kindly let me use their Wi-Fi today. So welcome, Jim.
Hi, well, let me give my visual description for those that are blind or low vision. My name is Jim Lebrecht. I'm an older white guy with glasses on. I've got longish curly hair. I've got a kind of salmon colored pink shirt, button-down shirt on. I have a goatee, and behind me is a red wall with some posters on it. I live in Oakland, California, which is the unceded land of the Ohlone people.
Mm-hmm. Well, here we are back again after our last stint as a panelist at the AWP, Associated Writers Program talk we did on disability and humor, which was titled, We'll Give You Something to Laugh About. And we had a lot of fun with that. It was a really great panel. I met some other wonderful people. And so I hadn't known anyone before, but it was great that you all said yes. And we move forward. Now you've had a really exciting whirlwind several years here with working on the movie and then having it win at the Sundance Film Festival. Was it the audience?
Yeah, we won the Audience Award for documentary at Sundance 2020.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And then it moved all the way up to being nominated for a documentary film at the Oscars.
That's right.
That was great. If I had been voting, I would have picked that film. In fact, I was like a big cheerleader and I was really mad. And we have like an Oscar group that meets online and I was kind of sulking because it didn't win. But anyway, I'm a huge fan of the movie, and I just can't wait to talk a little bit more about it. The main title's Crip Camp, but it also has a tagline, a disability revolution. So now that it's been out there for a while and other people have really seen it, whether they work in the community of all the different types of disabilities, or they themselves have a disability, how have you seen things change, or have you seen it kind of spark any interest or activism from the movie itself?
Well, I think that it's had a fairly broad effect in the entertainment industry, but in other areas that maybe we even don't really have a really clear understanding of. By way of example, literally yesterday, I was in a restaurant and a woman stopped by and said, were you in a documentary? And we talked for a little while. So tell me, why did you decide to watch Crip Camp? She said, well, I've been working as an organizer and activist for 15 years, and I wanted to see this film. I'd heard a lot about it. And indeed, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, Nicole and I, and we had heard that people were recommending Crip Camp as a film to look at in regards to how incredible the organizing was for political change. So that is, that was kind of unexpected, but really, really fabulous.
Yeah.
But in the bigger world, we have a sense that, well, first off, I think the disabled community, for the most part, has really embraced our film, and that people have been doing what we were hoping, which was to have screenings and have Q&As and talking about the issues. And when Nicole and I and my wife Sarah, as a producer, also, when we were briefly on the road with the film, we one of the things we wanted to make sure we did was that when we had live Q&As, that we had a local disability activist with us.
Oh, good. That's a good idea.
That those people got some spotlight, and I think one of the real incredible things that we were able to pull off was a very strong impact campaign. Most documentaries, you're not just making the film, but you try to have some kind of plan to leverage that film, educational materials, what have you. And we handed our impact campaign off to two incredible women involved with disability justice. And last year we had a whole summer full of virtual Crip camps, which people gathered via Zoom, and we had different topics like Black disability history, self-care, sexuality. There was one called "I effed up. Now what do I do?" and it was remarkable in that we thought maybe we'd get up to 500 people kind of tuning in on a Sunday afternoon or streaming later. By the end of the summer, we had 10,000 people.
Wow.
From 50 countries.
Wow.
When we were planning what we were doing, we heard loud and clear that people wanted community.
Yeah.
That's what they really wanted. And my gosh, they found it here. A Facebook group appeared completely without us doing anything. So, I could probably spend the next hour telling you what I think is all the impact, but the good news is that it has started conversations. And that's what Nicole and I really, really wanted.
Right.
And we wanted to reframe what it meant, what disability meant to people with and without disabilities. We had a large post-it up in the editing room that said community.
Okay.
And that our film really was, it was nothing if we didn't, receive love and support and validation from the disability community. And no film gets 100%, but I feel like for the most part, we've been really wonderfully embraced. That was our ideal audience. But Nicole and I kind of joked that I had said, look, if at the end of the movie somebody wants to have a beer with me, then that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because there's so much fear around disability,
Yes,
people with
I know.
disabilities, a hesitancy to engage,
Mhm.
especially depending on what disability you have.
Right.
And I have certainly heard enough anecdotal information to say people realized that they were doing that and that they changed their behavior.
Right. Because it can be lonely and it can be difficult to find even other people, even though it's a big word and it covers a lot of ground. There are ways the way you're separated from people that you know and people that you can connect with. So that's a great goal that you've had, and it sounds like you really achieved that goal, and hope to do more and more. Yeah. So anyway, what have you been working on lately, or what are some of the things you're hoping to get to next?
I would really, I would love to be working in scripted film or television.
Mhm.
And I've got a few projects that are in various stages of possibility in that, there are scripts that have been written and people that I was approached to direct a project. And so these things always take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic that I've got a wonderful writing partner, Hollis Rich, and she and I have got two projects that we've developed, and we'll kind of see what happens. But getting back to comedy,
yes,
it's so important. I think that first off, I love comedy. I mean, just
I know.
give it to me in buckets, and so to be able to write about a lived experience with disability and to show the humor in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Not that everything is just like a roll in the park, but it's life with a disability is not just a life of missing out or tragedy or certainly there are people that have acquired disabilities that have lost something they would love to have come back. But so many people find a life that is not only meaningful and joyous for themselves, but from the people around them. And I think that that's important for to be modeled and to be seen.
Yes. So I know that you did some comedic work for a while, did some stand-up, and we did talk about that in the group, how that typically funnier people kind of come from funnier people, so when it's already in your family and you're used to sarcasm or joking around with things, you bring that into the world because that's an authentic part of who you are. And so I would be great if you do more of that, because I don't think there's enough. There's a lot of kind of serious movies or shows over time, and nobody really I don't know, people might be afraid to laugh at things they might not know, and then but yeah, that would be good to see more of that.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I did study stand-up, almost maybe 20 years ago now, and I just remember doing we had a class down in San Jose. I live in Oakland, near San Francisco, but we were at a different venue, and I was getting nothing. Like, I'm up there doing my stuff, and when I come back into the seats and stuff, I turned to somebody and said, I don't know what was going on here. And he says, I didn't know if it was okay to laugh.
Right.
And I'm thinking, what do you think I was doing up there?
Yeah, why would I call myself be at a stand-up comedy thing if I didn't want you to laugh?
It's like, so, but look, I understand that. And that's why it's extremely important that people with disabilities are making media. that we are woefully underemployed in the entertainment industry. And so the same kind of prejudice of, gee, I don't think they can do the job, or I don't see anybody else like them around here. Well, I mean, other marginalized communities have had the same barrier to overcome.
Right.
But there are some serious pushes right now in Hollywood among some really incredible disabled people to really turn the tide and say, look, all of your DEI, all of your inclusion efforts that you've done that have yielded success for other marginalized groups, you have to do with people with disabilities.
Right.
There's no reason not to.
Right.
And the thing is that Crip Camp, among a number of other films, has shown that when people with disabilities are telling the story, that it is authentic, and that that draws in viewers, that it makes for much better media, and when you have more eyeballs, that's more money. So it's good business.
Yes. Well, Camp Jened, did I say it right? Camp Jened?
Yeah,
Jened.
Okay.
What was so great about it was that the group of people that were there, we're all connecting, we're all together, and there wasn't any kind of tokenism. It was a real place with real people, and it wasn't one person with all the other people around them, having, we call it in the Down syndrome world, it's the special miracle, and other facets. There's, other ways that you talk about the sort of one person that gets to have the spot, and there's no one, and it's, so that was just really eye-opening to have it be fully a full community of people with disabilities or disabled people, and that was also special. Yes, I was thinking, what is, and this is a big question, and I didn't have another thing I sent you, and we don't have to answer it all, but I want to put it out there for anybody who's watching as well. Why the fear? I never could understand that. Why are people so afraid? And if you have any insight on that, I'd love to hear it. I don't have any really. I'm just so curious about that.
Well, I think there's a lack of familiarity with people with disabilities. We're not, up till today, we were rarely seen on television or in film. Certainly not in the numbers that we are in society.
Right.
So when there's an unknown, you're not sure what you're getting yourself into, so to speak. So, and I think people are afraid that they're going to say something wrong, or that the person is very touchy about their disability, or, but look, you don't go up to somebody and say, hey, what is it like being a woman? You don't do that. So your conversation shouldn't start with, excuse me, why are you in a wheelchair? But it's like, hey, how are you today? What's going on? What should I get at this restaurant? Do you know? Do you eat here?
Right.
I used to, in my comedy act, I used to say when somebody asked me, well, what happened to you? And I would say, Pilates.
You're bad.
Well, and let me tell you.
Did anyone ever believe you? Did anyone believe you? Because it could be.
I only really use that on stage, but let me tell you that. So after I had that kind of disaster, so to speak, at the comedy class, the next time I did my routine, when I came on stage, the first thing I said was, "Do you think the wheelchair makes my ass look fat?" And basically, that was like, okay, I know I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm making a joke about it. Now, can we get on to the fun?
Right. That's perfect. I love that. So we just have a couple more minutes. So I wanted to ask you, if society were to get like inclusion right, and it seems like right is kind of a weird word, but so what would our society look like if it were inclusive completely?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me, Diane, is that I would not be exceptional.
Ah.
that my being in the world is really not terribly, or is not something to really draw attention, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what everybody wants. There are days, we all have good days and bad days, right? And it's like, there are days that I kind of go, I wish I was off duty. I wish that, like, I didn't have to deal with either people staring at me, or just, going into a store that is, hasn't done a good job in providing, good access, or whatever the barriers are that I literally face just about every day. So I think for everybody, we all want a life of our own choosing. And that if all of us, not just people with disabilities, but if all of us lived in a world in which we had great opportunity to excel and enjoy, and personally for me, I think also giving back, that would I'd be good. I'd really be good.
Yeah.
Now, how do we get there is the question, right? On the other hand, I've been doing a lot of advocacy work really since I went to Camp Jened, and literally there have been times where I feel like just my presence in a room is a political act. It's like, you've never included people with disabilities in this decision-making process, or we've never been at the table for this, that, or the other thing. And so when we do show up, we are exceptional, but it is to, but it's a positive thing.
And that brings us back to the disability revolution. By just showing up, you can help change things by not hiding.
And look, not everybody has to be out in the street blocking traffic.
No.
There's so many ways that we that we can support each other. And, whether you're behind the scenes or, out there with your gas mask on the streets, there's plenty that people can do. And I think the most important thing is to take care of yourself, and to listen to other people. Really just, be really open to other people's experiences.
Yeah, I always love that expression, nothing about us without us. And I think that pretty much ties it up. Yeah. So anyway, I like that one. And again, that's almost the first thing you mentioned when I asked that question. It's like bringing us into the place so we can speak in our voices about what we need. And that's so true. So
We've seen the harm of that we've seen the harm of that so many different places, when you've got a whole bunch of older white guys, crafting legislation that affects women. I'm sorry, but it's literally the same thing. The policies and legislations that keep people with disabilities from getting out of poverty, from participating fully in society, are incredibly damaging. But we have few allies. And let me just say one thing, Diane. Crip Camp is just one story. Nicole and I followed this group of people from Camp Jened and what they did. But there are thousands of incredible stories that have yet to be heard or seen, coming out of the disabled community, with as much humor and drama as Crip Camp has. I'm part of a group called the 1 in 4 Coalition.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is a group of Hollywood folks that have been making some really great inroads in really speaking to pointing out the lack of employment and really helping to place people. There's other organizations doing this work. And look, there's 2 different summer camps that I know about that are filmmaking camps. And one of them, Zeno Mountain, has a film that's out right now called Best Summer Ever, which is a musical. And I don't recall exactly what platform it's on, but people should check this thing out. I mean, it's really I love that film.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's just, and kind of like how if you were watching Schitt's Creek and you realize that that world is not a world devoid of any kind of homophobic um, attitude. It's a world in which disability, there's no ableism,
Mm-hmm.
and I just love that film. So
Okay. So
two
what's it
thumbs
called
up,
again?
Jim Lebrecht. It's
Yeah.
called Best Summer Ever.
Okay, great. That's great. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. And I'm so happy we got to speak again. And I wish you luck with all your future projects. And take care of yourself. Do you have anything else you
Well,
want to add?
well, thank you for having me here, and no, I'm pretty good. This is a great way to start my day. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Take care.